life except on the day before my exams. I'd pray like hell, hoping that God would do for me what I had not done myself.
Hi everyone. My name is Aaron. My name is Aaron, and I'm a first-year master's student at St. Paul Theological College. I'm actually, as you can tell, I'm a theology major. Today, the topic of discussion will be how faith and spirituality influence the human experience in areas of family, education, relationships, work, immediate family members, larger society, and death. Today we have Mr. Haridas and Mr. Patrick. Would you like to introduce yourselves?
Yes, thank you, Aaron, for this opportunity. My name is Haridas, and I am part of an international NGO called Initiative of Change, with which I've been associated for the last 5 decades. And it's a movement of people who want to make a difference in the world. And it's been a movement that has inspired me a lot and given me a sense of faith experience.
My name is Patrick Santamaria, and I'm also been involved with Initiative of Change for more than 30 years. Yeah. Currently, I'm the school registrar for an international school up in Genting Highlands. I'm married with 3 boys and a girl.
That's great. No, I think one of the main reasons why we put together this podcast, I remember having a chat with Mr. Haridas and also Mr. Patrick, is that we find that sometimes faith can, in a world that's polarizing and also becoming more secular, faith can sometimes seem like it can be a divorce from the human experience, and we need to keep these things separate. But today we're not going to talk about things that are like, oh, what's going to happen in the afterlife, or but it's just how does faith influence the human person, and how this influences the social, can be economical, can be work, and it's a very human discussion, actually, if you think about it. So I guess the first question I really want to ask the both of them is religion convenient? In a society that we live in, the context of this question is that in Malaysia, we are a very pluralistic society. We have several different gods and deities, denominations. Is it actually coherent with the human experience? Yeah.
I think if I were to draw on my own personal experience, I think when you reach an age of 16, 17 years old, you begin to ask questions, what's the relationship of going to the temple or to the church? What difference does this make? And for me, at that point of time, I became a free thinker, because I didn't see how religion was affecting my life, except on the day before my exams. I'd pray like hell, hoping that God would do for me what I had not done myself. So faith was really, in terms of religion or faith, I would say it was very, very fundamental. It was always a response to fear or anxiety or despair, but nothing positive as such. So as soon as I finished my schooling and all, I designed myself as a free thinker. And I was fortunate to go to India to further my studies. And India is another very big experience where you see poverty of extreme levels. You also come across wealth of extreme levels. You see the challenges people have to live through, and you ask yourself many questions. What's the purpose of your life? What are you out to do? And it was in the midst of these inquiries and discussions and searching that I met people involved with these ideas of initiatives of change. And what interested me was that it was not a question of being religious or about God. I found that they offered a purpose to make a difference in society. How can we change society? How can we make our society more honest, more transparent? How do we deal with the issues facing society at that time? And this was in the 70s, issues of corruption, issues of poverty, issues of caste. All these things stared at me. So when I met this group and felt that they were offering an opportunity to make a difference, I became part of this group. But I was faced with that eternal challenge, that you should start with yourself. If you want to make a difference, is there a difference in your life that can contribute positively to the cause of making a difference in the world? And when I looked further into this idea, I was challenged by the concept that if you accept moral standards and ethics as values in your life, as standards in your life, then you should start there and probe how congruent are you living in terms of your ideals and your practice. So I looked at values like honesty, purity, unselfishness, and love, and began to see so many areas of gaps in my life where I was not congruent. And change then meant for me a desire to bridge these gaps. And how do you bridge these gaps? If you have taken books from the library, it means returning them. If you have traveled on trains without buying tickets, it means returning money to the railway people. If you have changed money in the black market, then it means getting honest about this, getting honest with your parents. And as I probed and inspected my life in all these areas, I began to see the relationship between personal living and social involvement, you know.
Yeah.
And then I realized that that life calls us to meet needs in society. And when we meet those needs in society, we can only do it by conviction. And conviction comes born out of a desire to be different in your own life. And so that was the beginning. And that congruency slowly led me to meet people and instances and occasions that slowly germinated into a sense of faith, a living experience in my life, you know. And I remember when I got totally honest about everything in my life that where I felt I had not lived to the highest of myself, I had a personal experience, an epiphany, if you want to call it, a sense of something falling off my life and like a new beginning, you know. That's an experience. That's personal. That is real. It's not a theory, you know? And that clicked with the idea of living a meaningful life. So that's how my journey of faith did not come out of an experience to want to know God. My journey of faith came out of an experience to want to make a difference in society, to relate to society. Those were my initial beginnings.
So would you say that in a way your faith or spiritual experience made you an honest man?
Say it again.
Made you an honest man.
Well, it made me much more an honest man. Made me a lot more congruent in my living. It did not achieve perfection, I can tell you, but it does inspire me to progress daily, to every day try. Yeah, many times I fell, but I woke up. I started again, and I think that journey was important.
That journey,
Yeah.
Yeah. Mr. Patrick?
Now, I was born into the Catholic faith, so I was baptized as an infant. So growing up, I was very captivated going to church very regularly.
Yeah.
I did not have to be reminded. I just went to church regularly. And at that point of my life, because my parents were also churchgoers, all other 7 siblings, there are 8 of us, we all went to church in St. Joseph, St. Two. We went very freely, voluntarily. The God at that point was the God that the priest was up there at the pulpit. That was my God at that point. Because hearing him talking about God, that was my God. God became real to me only in later part of my life. As I was growing on, from very young, I wanted to be a priest. And I wanted to be an army officer. That was the 2 things in my life. So at the age of 19, I decided that I would go and speak to my priest in St. Francis Xavier and tell him about my ambition to be a priest. I spoke to him and he said to me, come the following week. But when I went to see him in the church the following week, he was having a wedding function, so I couldn't see him. And as a Christian, we believe, the faith is that we storm heaven, we ask God, what is it that you want me to do? I'm also a musician by nature.
Yeah.
And then one day when I had a dream, and in this dream, I felt this dream, and the tune that came to in me in this dream is familiar hymn in the Christian community. God our Christ our brother, Christ our Lord, Hallelujah. When I woke up, brother, so become a brother. So I applied to join the La Salle Brothers, and I became a brother. after like 4 years. But the call was still there to venture into the priesthood. So when I finished my first profession as a LaSalle brother in Penang, there was this restlessness that came to me, and I wanted to pursue that. So I left the brothers, and I went to the Archbishop, and I said I would like to be a priest. So he gave me a letter, said after 1 year, and this was in 1988. 1989, joined the seminary. In 1988, I found myself through the encouragement of Haridas and his group called Moral Rearmament at those days.
Yeah.
I landed myself in Australia for 5 months, attending a studies in effective living. And there were like 20, 25 of us from so many countries. And it was there that I started to find a purpose in my life. And there were like 20, 25 of us from so many countries. And it was there that I started to find a purpose in my life. But 2 girls from Cambodia challenged us.
Wow.
Cambodia. And in the 1980s, they were coming out from the killing fields. And this is Kanipun, who was there some months earlier, trying to speak some English. And she was sharing with us an international group. My father went to work and didn't come back. Another, her cousin, Lila, my father worked with the custom. He went to work and didn't come back. They were killed by Pol Pot. And then at that point, they said, we want to forgive them. And then all the things that we had in our life, the small things didn't matter. And I was touched by them. And they were Buddhists.
Yeah.
I'm a Catholic, supposed to be a priest. To go. And they challenged my life.
Yeah.
And I started to see what could be something greater that I could give to society.
Yeah.
And that was the start. And so I, with some friends, and I wrote to some friends and said, hey, I would like to work full-time with this moral rearmament, which I didn't know what it was all about. And from 1988 until 1998, I worked full-time as a voluntary worker without a salary. And I believe also many of us who are from moral rearmament, I think even Haridas himself, worked many years without a salary. And in those times, God that I believed in, and the God who we all have a common God, really took care of me in my life. So that is just one part of my life first. So now I leave it at that.
No, I think, before we started, Mr. Patrick told me, don't call me Brother Patrick, call me Mr. Patrick, because he doesn't want to be identified with a religious group. But I think he's really Brother Patrick, in the sense of it. No, but what I want to, because I think just looking at Mr. Patrick's life, we see the touch of the human experience by even the religious one. And so it's quite difficult actually to think about divorcing the human from the religious experience to some degree. So, I was wondering, when you were, the both of you were out and you were finding all this experience, and then when you came back, what was it like with your immediate family? That experience. How did, because because here in the podcast, and the work that the both of you have been doing, you guys are trying to change the world and you're hopefully influencing schools and stuff. But within your own family, how did that inform your identity as a human?
I think it was for me personally, it was a big challenge, because I decided that at the age of 20, that I wanted to give my life to a purpose and an aim and a goal, and not just become a graduate, a teacher, get married, and follow the traditional sign. So I took a leap and decided to work with this group on a full-time basis without any salary, which means leaving my studies in my final year. And naturally, that upset my family.
Okay.
It would have upset me if my children did it. But at that point of time, I felt that was a step to do. I did it. So it was tough going in the sense which was also very helpful, because their antagonism strengthened my faith and my commitment to what I believed in. You have to pay a price for everything. So I really decided that I will discipline myself. I will live to make the other great. I will live by a certain sense of values and purpose. And those decade thereafter really, fashioned my lifestyle and gave a lot of meaning to my life. And I would say very much, living a life became more meaningful. And I think that that was important. And the greatest clarity for anybody on a journey of faith, I believe, is to get clarity at the level of values and moral standards. And I think that helped me more than anything else. I began to understand what is honesty, what is purity, what is unselfishness, what is love, what is meant by compassion. Not that we reach these perfections, but every day one had that opportunity to introspect. One had that opportunity to take simple steps and grow, And I think while religion tells a lot of things to all of us, whether it's Buddhism, Christianity, Hinduism, they all have their tenets, they all have their dogma, they all have their theology. At the end of the day, I believe what sustains all that is one's own personal experience. Has it made a difference in your life? Have you got any experiences that have taken place in your life that has contributed meaningfully? So for me, not only honesty, I reconciled with people I couldn't get along. I had experiences in the area of relationships. And I think all these become the body of one's own, what you want to call it religious experience at the experiential level. I think that is important. And I think one of the greatest things that I learned in our initiative with change is always start with yourself, not with the other. And in a culture, modern culture today, where everywhere one goes, people blame each other.
Yeah.
The blame culture is so strong, so strong. To develop a concept where you start with yourself and look at yourself and take ownership for even 10% of your mistakes, it gives you a new window to life, gives you a new window to how you see the world, And I'm really very, very grateful for that.
So in 1988, I was 28 years old and I was in Australia. And it was there that I made some very significant decisions in my own life. One, not to pursue the priesthood. Because as I prayed through the scriptures, and that is what scriptures told me. Here I am, I want to be God. Perhaps God never called me. So I said, no, I will not go into the seminary. Then I also made some putting things right. When I was a brother in Penang, St. Nicholas School for the Blind, I used to bring out clients and they are blind. With some of them, even without eyeball. And as I was taking them going to the bus and everything, I used to collect used tickets and make a claim because I was not getting any money from the brothers. I used to collect tickets. So maybe it was like in 1 month, maybe worth 10, 15 ringgit of tickets in the bus as I bring out my clients for their walks. And I used to make a false claim. So when I was in Australia, one of the thoughts that came was that you were dishonest. So I wrote back to the director of St. Nicholas and I said, this is 50 ringgit for the dishonesty that I was with you for 1 year. And I'm so sorry about it. And he wrote back to say, Patrick, I do not know what to do with this money because nobody have ever done this before, saying that they've been dishonest and returning the money. And that was a series of the start of my life. As I put things right in my life, my own direction became right also. And so that was one. So fast forward, that was one of few decisions. 1992, 4 years already, I found myself in the church. And I was asking myself as I was kneeling down, it was February the 2nd. In the church is the presentation of our Lord and also my birthday. And I was kneeling down and I said, Lord, is this the way I'm going to live my life? Already 4 years. And tears rolled down. I was in the church alone. And as I spoke to the Lord in the church, I heard his voice and he said, Patrick, I will take care of you when you are single. I will take care of you when you are married. By the time I reached 36, Haridas was already very afraid of me. I was single and nobody in Malaysia wants to marry me. So he wrote to friends in Philippines. I also have Filipino background. Please get the fella a wife. Now, when we were having a conference, Asia Pacific Youth Conference, so I went to Philippines to help out. And in moral realignment, we have this discipline of writing down our thoughts. Many of us still do, and I also still do that. In the morning, we write these thoughts and we try to be obedient to these thoughts and not worrying about the outcome. And I remember before going to the Philippines, the thought that came is that you will meet your wife in the Philippines.
Wow.
And when I went to the Philippines for this Asia Pacific Youth Conference
Yeah.
in 1995, I was staying in this house, and there was this young person. Together with me was Kiyoshi Nagano and Xiao Feng from Taiwan. We are the main organizers for the Asia Pacific Youth Conference in the Philippines. We were helping them. In the morning, when I was taking my shower, I heard this person singing, "I swear by the moon and the stars in the sky, I'll be there." This young lady was singing and she was cooking for us. And my heart, taking my shower, said, "That is the one you're going to marry."
Wow.
And I married her after 1.5 years.
That's amazing.
So for me, faith is so important. For me, doing this quiet time, trying to be obedient, these thoughts is very important, because that is what that have shaped my life, have molded my life. My religion and my belief, that God loves and have a lot of faith in me. That is so important to me. So for me, every religion has got a different religious experience. Ariel's got a Hindu experience, or everybody has got different. Mine is a religious experience from the Catholic point of view. But at the same time, we respect each other.
Yeah.
We respect each other.
Just for context, I'm not Catholic. I'm actually Anglican. So it's in Anglicanism we actually believe a middle way.
Yeah.
So it's quite interesting. I'm the moderator for the middle ground between. No, but I think it's interesting that you brought up about the different experiences that we have. But one of the most, I think, apart, because all we have wrestled recently is just about the family and immediate family. I think to some degree, I think you touched upon immediate family and the work that you're doing. I'm also very curious. So here's the thing. I grew up in a kind of like a IGCSE background of schooling, but I'm very curious about your backgrounds of schooling. What was it like back then in terms of education? And
Yeah, I went to a normal old town school in Talingjaya for my primary, and then I went to a Bukit Bintang Boys School, which was basically a 7-day Adventist school to begin with.
Oh, wow.
Gospel hall and all that. We had a Scottish principal in our school, but it was in the 50s, and therefore there was a certain amount of evangelization going on. So those of us from non-Christian backgrounds were the people who were the targets for these things. So that was part of the schooling experience. So grew up, and everything here in Malaysia. So that was part of the initial formation. So life was basically going to school, playing games, just like any normal human being in here. And I think one very important thing happened in my life. When I was aged 12 years old, my father was a government servant, and we only had one reading material in the house, and that was a newspaper. I would read that. Then suddenly, when I was aged 12, somebody threw a magazine into the house.
Oh.
This went on for about 3 months. And I used to collect this magazine. I didn't look at the words that are, because they were very high standard and all, but I was fascinated by the pictures. And I would take these magazines, and at night when I'm sleeping and with the rain on the corrugated roof of the house, I would dream.
Wow.
Really dream about one. There was one about the Westminster Theatre in London, all the big shows. There was one with a picture of Gandhiji's younger son. And a lot of thoughts crossed my mind, I wish one day I could meet the Gandhi family. I wish one day I will be in London and attend these things. So I used to, what people would call daydreaming, perhaps. What I will now, looking back, will say it stirred my imagination.
Wow.
Imagination so much. Then the 3 magazines were in the house, and I went on. At the age of 16, 17, I went to India. At the age of 20, I met Initiatives of Change, MRA at that time, and joined a group that went to London. See, I was invited by Rajmohan Gandhi, the grandson of Mahatma Gandhi, to go to India, to go to UK. So we had a reception in London, and at the end of the reception, I was going through all the books, the book counter, and I came across these 3 magazines.
Oh.
And I looked at this magazine, and it evoked all the memories I had completely forgotten about them, but it evoked all the memories. The pictures were the same picture.
Wow, okay.
You know, and then I
Were
realized,
they from the same year? So,
yeah, it was the 1962. 1962 magazine,
Yeah.
MRA magazine, they were there, and there were three of them. And the same ones I had seen when I was young. And that opened my mind to the power of imagination. And one of the most overlooked aspects of life is this power of imagination.
yeah.
And that is why, when you talk about childhood and you talk about growing up, one of the things I would do differently as a parent today is I would have a vision for my child. I would nurture them in a belief in themselves. I would nurture them to become purposeful in their life.
Yeah.
And therefore, I feel more and more that upbringing, parenthood is all very, very critical
Absolutely.
in the formation of a child, So that was a very important aspect. Second thing I want to say is that everybody knows about prayer.
Yeah.
Most traditions have prayers. But what I learned through IOC was a flip side of prayer, that is listening. Listening to your inner voice, listening to your conscience. And this is the moment of receptivity to a power beyond yourself. Call it God, call it whatever you want to do. But if you only beseech God but don't listen, then there's a dimension that is missing. And I think that was one of the most important things I learned. So I am one of those who believes in journaling.
Yeah.
Every day I have my time of quiet. I journal every week, every day about things I have learned, things I want to do, initiatives I want to take. And that has become a very important cornerstone.
That's interesting. Yeah. I was just thinking, in your schooling days, did you have a very religious conscious? Just out of curiosity.
Being born in Sentul, I attended La Salle Sentul. And those days, it was the La Salle brothers that were the headmasters.
Okay.
And that is the same order that I joined in the 80s. I didn't do well in my studies. But MCE, I had a grade 3. And I was very disappointed with myself. I tried to join the army, but then I failed my IQ test. And so the thought that came to me was that I must be very stupid. But I had another gift, which is playing music.
Yeah.
So at the age of 19, I was actually in a disco group playing music in what you call Hilton, PJ Hilton now. Formerly it was known Glass Bubble. I played the trumpet and I sang. So that was a gift that God gave me. So I felt good about it. Then in playing music, in 2003, I joined this international school and I've been there since 2003. But the chip on my shoulder was that I had MC grade 3. I don't have a university degree. And so I looked down on myself. At the age of 50, I received 2 Ds. A diploma in counseling and diabetes from the school. So that was the start. And I took the diploma because somebody sort of, in one sense, said he didn't respect me because I didn't have any qualification. So I took it out of spite, but actually it did me good. So that was the age of 50. At the age of 63, through the school that I was, that I'm still in, I managed to do my executive master's MBA.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, so what I'm trying to say is that it's never too late to study. It's never too late. Yeah? Now, I must also confess and say that I'm a 5 stent general.
5 stent?
I've got 5 stents in my body.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
5 stents in my body.
Right.
That he's given me 5 stents general.
I want to know more about this 5 stent general.
The angioplasty and everything.
Oh, okay.
Stent, the blood vessel.
Yeah.
I mean, blood clot.
Yeah.
23, I had 3 stents.
Oh dear.
Not done. And 2024, another 2 stents. But now I'm fit as a fiddle. I can even run. I think I might even run. So what I'm trying to say is health is important. Health is important. But I'm also grateful to the school because it is through the school that they have also helped manage my health in a sense. I've got health insurance. So joining an organization that takes care of you holistically is so very important. I'm grateful for what the school has done for me. Had I not joined the school that I'm with, Probably I will not have been able to afford to pay the hospital fees. I might not even be alive also. So what I'm trying to say is that it's never too, if I can say it to the young people, it's never too late. Your education qualification does not define you as a person. Your character defines you.
Yeah.
We want people who have character. So in the school, when we choose teachers, even if they do not have a diploma in education or bachelor education, we look at their character. If they've got good character, we can invest in them
And train them.
But if you may be very competent, you may be the top, you got a PhD in that, but if you got very bad character, then it's not going to do anything good.
No, I think you raised a good point because like recently I was looking at, I was watching videos on how do you get into Oxford or Harvard and stuff. The common thread by most of the students is that don't bother so much about what you are trying to present on paper to the supervisors, but what you're able to communicate. And I think that's an important character as well. But then, we talk about education, but I'm also curious, because earlier both of you touched on something very personal. And I don't know if this is up to you, but so you mentioned that God told you that this is the woman you're supposed to marry, right?
I wouldn't say that God told me. It was in my quiet time because I dare not say it was God.
Okay.
I cannot say that. It's just that in my quiet time, the thoughts that came to me said that. I would stick to that. The thoughts that came to me.
Okay. Sure.
In my quiet listening.
Sure. That's But Mr. Haridas, I also noticed you also mentioned something to do with your children, how that those challenges also to the expectation that you have in a kid. So I was wondering, the both of you, I'm sure, has been married for years now. What was that experience like? It must be a very I think it's a valuable experience. I really want to know. Yeah.
Because I have realized that I wanted after my marriage to when the children came to really be a model for them, and that awareness was already there in me. Therefore, my wife and I made sure that as our three daughters grew up, they grew up in an environment because we were their models. And at that age, in any family, children tend to model after their parents. So the influence of the parents is very, very critical in the growing stages of the children's life. Therefore, how you relate as father and mother, to your children is important. The whole question of nurturing, the whole question of developing the child, these are important segments. Unfortunately, today society is different.
Yeah.
I was a single parent, in the sense that single paycheck. My wife was a homemaker, so I was the one who earned the money, and she was the one who did a lot in nurturing the family forward. And I think that what my three daughters achieved is a testament in itself, But looking back, I think there are many areas today when both parents are working and then they have children, and how do they fashion these children? These are very, very important questions. Let's take the example of two parents in one family. The children are there, but the husband is abusive. He is alcoholic. He is violent. He uses abusive language. The children growing up in that environment will always be in a survival mode, wondering, what's going to happen. Insecure, fear. What will fashion their life? Look at another family in which the parents are very loving with one another. They're very affectionate to their children. They care for them. They think for them. They spend time with them. That environment does a different thing to those children. So parenting is a very important thing in modern society. And when you break the family, then society pays a big price. Especially if you look at modern societies where 50-60% of marriages end up in divorces. And then 50 to 60% of second marriages end up in divorces. What do you have? You have a fractured society. You have a society where young people don't know what to hold on to. And that then reflects in the whole society. And that is why it is very important that we stay stress a lot onto the whole area of parenting and family, which is very, very significant, because that's the way you nurture, you know. Just like when you plant a seed, you put it in a nursery, you tend to it, and then you transplant it, you know. You protect it from wild animals and all the other things. We have to ensure that parenting is a crucial element in terms of creating the society of the future. And we are all responsible for our families and the society we live in.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember once we had a Somalian ambassador, ex-ambassador came. His name was Yusuf Al-Azhari. And he was visiting Malaysia, and I invited him. I said I would look after him. Now, in the Muslim sector, if you can learn the Quran by heart from beginning to end, you are regarded as a very special person.
Yeah.
And this Yusuf Al-Hazari was such a person. So when he came here, I took him to meet the chief of general staff of the army in Malaysia, and I met him several places. Then in the evening, we had a meeting in my home. And in the meeting in the home, he shared his experience of being imprisoned alone. He was put in a room alone for about 6 months, and all the challenges he went through. And then he talked about honesty and the steps he had to take in his life, and the changes that meant for him. So the meeting ended, everybody went home and all that. That night, at about 2:30 in the morning, my second daughter comes and knocks on the door and wakes me up. And she was crying. I asked her what happened. I took her out, and she said to me, I am so sorry. I've been taking money out of your pocket.
Oh, wow.
So, and she couldn't sleep. So I carried her and told her not to worry about it. Thank you for being honest. And I made sure she had a good night rest. But it showed me the power of storytelling.
Yeah.
What Yusuf Al-Hazari said that day touched her so deeply that she wanted to be honest with me. And I think we all have experiences. And if we share our experiences with the intention of helping the other, some dynamic of faith takes place. You can't explain this intellectually. Some dynamic of faith takes place. And I never forgot that experience of that with my second daughter.
That's amazing. It's interesting because earlier you mentioned you kind of went to reconcile and that certain dishonesties you had, and then you see that fruit in your daughter now. Yeah. It's amazing. So you wanted to...
Yeah. So I mean, I'm talking about the whole idea of sharing, of listening, but when you have a purposeful life, you're always asking, what can I do for others? And there are certain laws in life that work whether you believe in it or not, like the law of gravity. And similarly, I believe the law of cause and effect, or the law of sow and reap. If you want honesty, you have to sow it. You cannot sow rice and expect to get wheat. No, it doesn't work like that. So you are the causative agent in your life. If you want good things to happen in your life, you have to sow good things in your life. If somebody becomes very hard or cruel to you, you should not ask, why is that happening to me? You should say, what is my response to that? There may be a lesson I need to learn. This challenge has come to my life to improve me. So the way we look at life, the way we respond to life is part of the journey of faith. That's the faith experience, they seeking to respond to life.
Dr. Frank Bookman, the initiator of moral realignment, he said that when you share about the sinner in you, then people will listen. But you share about the great things you achieve in your life, many in the audience may not be able to relate. So that one of the power, like what Haridas have mentioned, is that when we share about our experiences, when we share about the things that we have put right in our life, people will stand up. So if I share that somebody that I stopped drinking, the drinkers down there, they will pay heed.
They'll pay heed, right?
They'll pay heed. Or I abused my wife and I stopped and I said sorry. So the power, the storytelling is very, very important, especially when we share about your own self. In moral realignment, many of us met our wives through moral realignment. Haridas met his wife, I met my wife through one, and quite a number of one. And so people started to think, what is MRA? Instead of moral realignment, they thought it was marriage recruiting agency. So that's why one of the reasons they changed also to initiatives of change maybe because of this.
Okay. It's very, very convenient.
Yeah. So when I look back at my own family, when I met my wife and I proposed to her, I only had a cup chai. You know, in the 80cc motorbike.
Oh, yeah.
I had no work, no salary, no house, no car. Only a cup chai. And I think Haridas can relate with that also.
It's like the regular motorbike.
But later on, many things, people, when you do this kind of work, people are very generous. So the house that I had was through one of our friends who paid for my house, really.
Yeah.
My sister paid a deposit, and the balance was paid by a very lovely person called Punita. She was one of our treasurer. When she died, she gave me her car, and Haridas and I went to the family, and she said the brother said sell the car, and then I paid off my house. Many things that I received have been from people.
Amazing.
At some point, the trousers and the shirt that I have, all given by others, except for my underwear, which I bought on my own. I mean, I'm telling the truth, this is factual.
No, of course.
So what we freely receive, we freely give.
Freely give, yeah.
My parents did not have money or property, but one lesson that they taught us was about how to forgive people, to be generous to people, to accept people, whatever there is. So many of my family, my siblings will bring their friends for Christmas every year, and my mother will cook and will give food to everybody. Sometimes maybe around 100 old people, and it goes on and on and on until my mother died in 1999. So that is what my parents. So I will also now I say to my children, I don't have property or money to give you, but I will teach you how to pray.
Oh, that's amazing.
I'll teach you how to pray. And I've taught them how to pray. How to do the church. We have certain ritual. And then, so that's the thing I say to my children, that is what I'll give you. Not money or property, but I teach you how to pray.
Apart from how to pray, what about the aspects of like certain virtues, like compassion? Like what are the main tenets of virtues which you instill in them?
I like what Haridas said, because as parents, we have to be role models. So the fact that my wife and I currently, we are very much in ministry work.
Okay.
And all my children are also
amazing
in ministry work.
Amazing.
Then ministry work, that means one might be doing the projection. My daughter is the altar server. My son plays the keyboard. And so we all participate in the church service. And that's why today at 5 o'clock, I'm teaching catechism. So after this, I have to go back.
Okay. I hope it'll be a good one. Yeah.
So the importance of parent playing a role is so important.
Yeah.
But I'm grateful to my wife because my 3 sons were taken care by her, literally. Because I was working outside and I was also playing professional musician. So I was working. So my 3 sons were actually brought up by her. And then God had pity on me. After my 3 sons, He gave me a daughter. So that I can really take care of my daughter. Her name is Joanna. She'll be 13. She's already 13 this year.
Okay. Yeah, 13.
My eldest son is 28 years old.
Okay, wow.
So you can see that gap. So my faith in God is so important. I will not be able to do what I'm doing without that faith in God. The belief is something different. The belief helped me to pursue my faith and trust in God. That for me is so important.
And I think that if I look back at my own life, I've got about 30, 40 experiences that I cannot explain. I cannot explain. Some people will call it good luck. Others will call it chance. Others will he's sparing. But I will tell you some of the things that have happened to me. I'm amazed, and I can only say that if you sow the right seeds, you will also get the right harvest. The house that I today never have dreamt I could get out like that. The achievements my daughters have achieved, I couldn't have. But so there are many, many blessings for which I'm more than grateful. And I think a lot of people have such experiences, but they do not sit down and introspect and say, what are the blessings people have that I have received. They are more worried about how can I be better than Joneses. They're more interested why I didn't get that. Having no time to look at what have I got anyway.
I think the fact that we're here, it's already a blessing to sit down and introspect.
So I think that is That is a very, very important. I mean, like I told you, those three magazines at the age of 12, and meeting the same work when I was 20 years old. I mean, that's a power of imagination, power of faith. You can't box it into something, but that is real to me. I still have those three magazines here with me, because I treasure those things. So I believe that all of us have got a body, all of us have got a brain, all of us have got access to the mind. Whatever faith background we go, all of us have the power of the intellect.
Yeah, yeah.
All of us have the power of imagination and a sense of awareness. These are the tools God has given us, and how we use these tools to live a purposeful life. That's what makes the difference.
I think just looking at the both of your lives, it's actually quite inspiring to see the platforms that you're given, the opportunities that you got, and it was always family, education, and society. But I think now I really want to delve into the larger society and just building off of that. So I wrote a recent paper on spiritual economies, and part of my paper actually used the Islamic concept of the spiritual economy, which actually builds from a place of the family module, the head of the household, the mother, and then the children. And so in Islam, I think for their concept of spiritual economy actually comes from this one. So I was wondering, apart from just economy, larger society, when you think about the values that you instilled in you and you've instilled into your family, now that the both of you are reflecting, your family is reflecting you and you're reflecting your family, do you see a correlation with that, with what the work with larger society is? Do you see contributions in that area?
Actually, the larger society is the motivating factor. Of course, to make a difference in society is the motivating factor. The family, yourself, your interests all come subsequent. What motivates you in this work is that. That's what keeps you alive. That's what gives you the drive, the conviction, the motivation to do what you are doing. You cannot remain good and good for nothing. Goodness has to be effective. You understand? If it's not effective, you will lose it. And therefore, the world and society gives us so many opportunities. Now, I'm not saying that we will not make mistakes. We will. I would venture to say this much. If I had not met these ideas and worked in this way, I would have made 20 mistakes. Now, I probably would make 5 mistakes. that's the only difference I can attribute to it. Why? Because I'm daily working at myself. Therefore, I get a sense of awareness that this I shouldn't do. And if I do make a mistake, then there's a benefit for me. What is my learning? So I don't lose out in the end. And don't you bet your boats. Society is always going to give you challenges. The challenge of your faith is, what is my response to it? And a humane response, that I think is significant.
For me, my daily battle is dealing with my ego and my pride. And so one of the things that have come to my mind is that I made a decision. Every right step I take in the morning, I step on my pride. Every left step I take in the morning, I step on my ego. And sometimes when I'm walking, make hundreds and thousands of steps, I'm saying, right? So that is helping me to have awareness, so that when I meet with you, before I want to get upset or angry with you, I'll say, keep my pride in check, keep my ego in check. And then I find, because I meet with people who are of different faiths, different religion, and if I can keep myself in check, that is already contributing towards society, because I'm treating you as a Christian or a Hindu or a Muslim or a Buddhist or a non-believer. I'm treating you with human respect. I'm treating you with care and generosity, and I'm watchful on the words that I use, so that I do not say things that will hurt you. Sometimes I still do. But keeping check on my own self, that is what we call change start with myself. Before I can even start with. So I've got my children. So how I treat them, they are going to treat others. So if I am compassionate, if I am generous, if I am kind with them, most likely they will also be kind with those who can be. And so that's That is so important because we are going to meet many, many people. And how we treat the person that we meet is going to make a difference in that person's life.
So for you, it's the person in front of me that's the
Yeah.
largest society.
Yeah.
No, I think that's a great step because the reason why I actually asked the question in the first place, because I realized now I don't want to cause division among generations, but I do meet characters and I see a lot of those characters in my generation, in the 20s and whatnot, or early 30s. There's this trend going around where like I want to make enough money where I get to build my own family.
Yeah.
And for me, that's contributing to a larger. I think that's great. It's a very noble thing, but I feel it's a too small of a goal. Because, if imagine, right, you have kampong, and if you only build the bungalow that you're living in, and the kampong around you is still, I was just, anyone can respond. I just want what your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think these are all good intention. I once ran a training program and I asked some young people, what's your purpose in life? So one fellow says, I want to marry the most beautiful girl. Another fellow says, I want to get a BMW. Oof, but that whole group was centered on themselves.
Yeah.
What they want to get, what they want to get. They don't realize they have not got any idea of what is the power in giving.
Yeah.
See, and if you can get that power, you will get everything. I never dreamt, if you ask me today, I never dreamt all that I have received because my parents didn't leave me a bundle of money, no. And I was a dropout of university. I came back here at the age of 34. And in 38, I got my law degree. After I got my law degree, I got my postgraduate bar degree, bar qualification. Then I got a postgraduate in Sharia law. Then I did accountancy. So the whole period from 35 to 40, 45 was a period of learning. That required discipline because I was already married and had a family. I could not have done it had I not got that formation, which I received through my work of 14 years full time with initiatives of change. That made me what I am today. And I think people who feel that I will do all this once I have got a lot of money do not realize that when they've got a lot of money, they also get a lot of temptations. They've got a lot of distractions. Do they have the mental to stand up to it? Which are people who win lottery tickets. You go and look at their lives. So many of them, their lives are damaged after they get.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So we must also, find that larger purpose. Society needs people with the purpose. That I think is the biggest thing young people can get in life. After that, the rest of it falls into place.
No, I believe that you mentioned you want to work and be rich and everything. Being rich is okay because when you become rich, when you have lots of money, if you use it the right way, you can help a lot of people. You have resources. So we are blessed with three T's. We have treasures, we have talent, and we have time. If we share that with society, then it's right. But many of us keep it for ourselves. And that becomes the danger. The gifts that we receive are meant to be shared. What we freely receive, we freely give. So please become rich. Please attain what you want. But just remember to share it.
The more you have, the more you
more
need.
you have.
I think it's the most basic ethic.
Basically, it's a very simple law, the law of giving and receiving. It's universal. If you start giving, you will somehow, blessings will come to you, not in perhaps the way you think it would, but it will. And then one day you'll answer, how come I got this? That is the dynamics of living a purposeful life.
I want to share something that Haridas mentioned about his experiences, and I also shared some encounters. In 1991, I was in what we call in Switzerland, where the headquarters of Moral Harmonies, and I was involved in the musical. And there I met my future teacher, Shalva Hofstadius. I was in a musical. He was giving voice training. So we became friends, and I asked him, Shalva, to learn voice training in Sweden, is it expensive? He said, Patrick, it is very expensive. However, I will get you a scholarship in 1992. So we went off. Then in 1992, it was already January, February, and nothing from him. And then it became March and nearly April. then I met Haridas. That time I used to share my time of quiet with him. Everything that we share is very P&T, private and combination. I said to Haridas, I have this offer to go to Sweden, but if it doesn't happen, if I don't get any word from him, I won't be able to go in this voice training. Then suddenly I received a letter from Sweden, and Shalva says, Patrick, I'm so sorry. I nearly had skin cancer and I died. I nearly died. But the scholarship is already taken. You come and I will teach you whatever you need to do. Singing in Sweden. So this is around April, and I was waiting to get some money. And I said, I came and I shared this thought with Haridas. I said, if I do not get the money by today, I will write to Shalva and say, that's it. I'm in the Moral Rearmament Center and I'm mopping with another friend because we are taking care of the center. And suddenly the postman comes. And the postman comes and he gives me a letter and said, this is for you. And when I open the letter, it shows Patrick, this is a check for 1,500 from Francis Brown. Francis Brown is a friend of Haridas, and he came to do a story on the LaSalle brothers. And Haridas introduced me because I was a former LaSalle brother. And he wrote and said, this money is for you, and I do not know what it's for. And then, and for me, that is what I call the miracle of the timing. I needed to get that money now, not tomorrow or the day after. And the check came. And so I was able to go to Sweden. The day I landed in Sweden, Indira Gandhi's son was assassinated.
Sanjay Gandhi, yes.
Sanjay, he was assassinated. So I never forgotten that day. So what I'm trying to say is that we cannot put words in that. In Christianity, there's no such thing as a coincidence. God has allowed it to happen. So you can call it an encounter. Haridas said, the Lord of this is unexplained. They cannot explain. But I dare not say that it's from God. I cannot say that. But when we look at the fruits of it, what has happened, it's all been very, very good. And God said, I've created everything and everything is good.
I just want to build off on the last part. 2 days ago, I didn't see Puan Asma Abdullah for a while. Neither I spoke to her. I've just been writing essays for her. And so I just submitted an essay to her. And that day that I submitted an essay, so she lives in TTI, I live in Bukit Bandar Utama. I was in Bukit Bintang just for college and stuff. So my friend and I, we decided to go and have dinner. Guess who I saw outside? Puan Asma walking by. It was the least expected. And so I went home. I remember saying, God, why did, why? It's so strange. And I said, Puan Asma, what are you doing here? I just sent you. And it was, but no, I don't think there's such thing as coincidence. Everything happens for a reason. Even today, I'm still asking, why did I see Puan Asma outside? But I think towards, because we're slowly coming to an end, and I just want to build off. So I think there's a common, I realize a common factor between the both of you, that despite the challenges in education, in life, in family, that there's always the purpose to serve the wider community or the wider masyarakat, the society. And I think, earlier when I asked the question in regards to how people become very focused on this kind of parochial mindset and family and stuff. And I think that issue comes from a place of security. I think it really does, because if you think about it, it comes from, I help those who are more convenient. That's actually convenient to me, and that provides a sense of security. But we also understand that in this life, there's also death. So I want to know, what is a meaningful death by your definition? Because that's a tough question. So whoever can go first, go first.
Well, I must confess, getting past the 70s, sometimes I do think about what is. But I must confess, I look forward to it. I have no fear about that. And more recently, one of my friends was admitted to an old people's home, and I went there to visit him, and I saw so many people of my own age lying there, and I said to myself, how lucky I am. Some of them, their children are overseas, nobody to look after, some who have got dementia. And I said that, how grateful I am that I can still use my mind and live a purposeful life. And I think if you focus on what you have to do, then that also becomes meaningful. But if you've got nothing else to do, then that becomes a challenge. I think that's basically how I see it, as far as I can respond to that question?
Every night before I sleep,
Mm.
I thank God for another day.
Amazing.
And I remember reading someone said that God, do not take me until I've done your will. But it's, but we need to be prepared. We
Mm.
need to be prepared. And that's why we owe it to ourselves. We will die one day.
Mm.
I do not know how and when and where, but I know definitely I will die one day. But I owe it to myself to take care of my body.
Mm.
I owe it to myself to discipline my body. Because if I'm sick, then I have not much use in terms of doing the will of God. God's will is like this. We are aligned with His will. But then many times we make the wrong decision. We go this way.
Yeah.
And then suddenly we realize and we come back again. But God's will always remain the same, consistent. So I pray that before I die, at least I can say to God that I've done your will.
Mm.
And we close my eyes. But I want to live until 100 years old. Lord.
I think we're living to, I think maybe 75.
Yeah.
That's already quite.
If Mate can do it, we can do it.
Amen. So I think, as we are coming to an end, I just want to ask for what are your parting words to young adults, whether youths, working young adults, college? Yeah, what are your parting words to pursue meaning and purpose? Yeah.
I really feel that if people want to really live a meaningful life, hitch yourself to a cause that is big enough
Mm.
that helps others.
Yeah.
Find out what is the cause. That cause shapes your life, shapes your responses, shapes your values, shapes your convictions. And you don't live on the basis of, oh, it's okay, everybody does it. You live because you have made some very definite choices. And those choices make a difference in your life and in society. That's what I would say to any young people.
What I would like to say to young people is that we cannot change the past.
Yeah.
Whatever things that have happened in the past, you should remain in the past. Work on the present.
Mm.
What is it that you can do with your life so that in the future you will reach the best version of your life? And that the best version of your life is what God would want to create you to be. Along the way, you will make a lot of mistakes. Mistakes does not define you. Yeah. So making amends, put things right in your life and keep on moving. And one important last thing I would say that in the Bible we have the saying, give back to God what belongs to God. So whatever that belongs to God, your prayer life, your relationship, you go to the temple and this and that, and then give back to Caesar. What belongs in your life, to your working place, be honorable, be charitable. So that have got to go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Don't neglect
Don't neglect.
what you're supposed to as a lay person.
Mm. No, I think just on those parting words, I guess I think what we learned from today's podcast is the purpose and meaning of what it just means to be human, the struggles, the chaos, and I learned so much. I hope that we have more opportunities to do more stuff like this, and I really hope we get to have more of this kind of meaningful discussions, Yeah, I think in Malaysia, I think as you mentioned, Mr. Patrick, in regards to the past is the past, the future is the future. I think in Malaysia, we have a lot of baggage, is politically, historically, economically, and those things are not going to go away, but that doesn't mean that we start hating each other, but we just need to start loving more. Yeah, so I think on that note, I just want to say thank you everyone for tuning in, and let's look forward to more.